Coming up this weekend is the Byram Open. This is happening in Leicester. It's disc golf. This is professional disc golf. You can go out, you can hang out at the 18th hole. I'll find out actually if they call it the 18th hole, but you can see some of the disc golf pros as they make their way to Leicester. That's coming up. Right now, though, we are very pleased that Senator Michael Moore is with us. Senator Harriet Chandler as well. Thank you for being here. And I don't know, what can we talk about? We can talk about what we talked about the last couple of months, amazingly enough, which is casino gambling. But Senator Moore, from your perspective, I kind of expected when you came back that we were going to be talking about how we were going to implement casino gambling here in Massachusetts. We're not. Although you had both given me the heads up that you were, you thought it was iffy if there was going to be able to be a compromise. But at the time I was thinking, oh, they'll figure out a way. Didn't happen. What happened?
Well, basically, it's the racinos issue. That you've got the governor who has said right from the start he opposed that he wanted 3 destination resorts, which did match the Senate's version that came out and went to conference committee, and then you just couldn't get an agreement out of the House and Senate on just a resort bill. The conference committee came out with the two racinos down from the original 4, down to 2, and the margin. The House passed it at a greater than 2/3 margin, which benefits or can override a veto. And if the House did have to or did decide to call people back in, they've got the 2/3 vote to call their representatives in. The Senate passed at a similar margin, the 25 to 15, the conference committee report that contained the racinos, which was the same margin of victory for the destination resorts, the 3 resorts. So we don't have the 2/3 margin for the Senate President.
Now, how did you vote for it?
I voted in favor of both. I voted for the original destination resorts and for the conference committee report. All right.
And Senator Chandler, you voted in favor as well.
I did.
And the last time that you were here, I thought that the racinos would kill it for you. What changed? What was different for you, and I guess was not different for the governor?
Well, the racino issue was something that was very important to me. But we hadn't gotten the bill, the final conference committee report, at the time that we talked last. And we didn't see that until the morning of the vote itself. And the morning of the vote, and looking at the language that was in the bill, it seemed to me to be apparent that the governor had a great deal of authority over whether or not there would be 2 racinos or not, because he had the responsibility for appointing one of the 5 members of the Racing Commission, the Gaming Commission. He had the authority for one, the Attorney General had the authority to appoint one, and the Treasurer had the authority to appoint one. And the other 2, there were 5, the other 2 were appointed by a majority of the 3. Since we know that the Attorney General is not in favor of gambling, we thought she would be a valuable ally to the governor. The other thing that was important, and by the way, the governor also had the ability to appoint the chair of the Gaming Commission.
Well, so the way that you're describing this, why then did the governor
There's more than
dig
that.
into his heels?
There's more than that, and the other piece to it was the authorizing language says that the Gaming Commission has the ability, may appoint, may give out up to 2 Category 2 licenses. That's the racino licenses. May is very different than shall in legislative language. May is options. It gives them lots of options. They can do 0, they can do 1, or they can do 2. And if he had the ability to appoint the members of the commission and control it to a certain degree, then he would also have the ability to have that commission perhaps give out no licenses for racinos.
Right. So, Senator Moore, I mean, so was this political then on the part of the governor? I mean, it seems as if he was going to be able to get what he wanted out of this.
In my opinion, I think he could have gotten what he wanted. I don't know if it's political or not, but similar to Senator
Political in the sense that it looked good to stand up to the legislature.
Well, that's what I mean. I don't know if that's. I would hope that wouldn't be his intent. But similar to Senator Chandler, that the fact that they may issue, there's nothing that says the commission has to give those 2 licenses. And we're looking at, with the economy the way it is, it's starting, we're seeing signs of it coming back. When you're looking at potential of 15,000 jobs and having that language in there, I didn't really think there was any choice but not to go with this.
Here's though what I thought was interesting, just in talking to people since all of this happened. I think there's been a number of people who have said, well, you know, once they actually saw what it was going to be, once they started hearing about 3 casinos, and they started hearing about racinos, and they started all of a sudden thinking about, and these were people who said, hey, you go to Foxwoods, you count the Massachusetts license plate, that whole argument, why in the world wouldn't we have a casino in Massachusetts? After this, I started hearing those same people say, boy, you know, it was more than I thought. How was it really going to change Massachusetts? What kind of a casino culture were we going to have? I started to run into people who thought that it was okay, maybe, that we didn't get this casino bill this time, and I'm just kind of wondering if you've heard anything like that.
I've heard both. I've heard some people think that it would be good. It's a good way for us to create some jobs, bring some revenues that we're losing. Then I've heard others, which I think the last time we were here, I had concerns about overflooding the market, having 3 destination resorts, now 2 racinos, and the language that came through in the conference committee report, which we hadn't seen the last time we were here, the racinos now have to, after the initial bid for the license and getting the license, which I think it's a $20 million fee for the license, they have to spend a minimum of $100 million. So now if you issue 2 racino licenses, are you in fact upgrading from just a slot parlor to maybe a little mini resort?
Yeah.
I would think that's going to take away from the bid. If I'm a destination resort contractor or developer, I'm going to bid less.
And how much gambling can we
support
here in Massachusetts?
And we're talking about 3 racinos, 3 casinos, 2 racinos, and the potential for at least 1 Indian casino. So there's a lot that's a lot in a small state.
So how do you feel? The fact that now that it hasn't gone through, I mean, do you feel that maybe this is a good thing, Senator Chandler, where everybody can kind of take a deep breath, or did we really miss out and now we're just another year behind?
You know, it's hard to say because I don't think that the last chapter is written yet. We don't know whether we'll be called back. That's still up in the air. We have this FMAP money coming in. We may have to be called back to deal with that, and it may be an appropriate time to also deal with the casino issue again. But that's a big maybe, a big question mark. And you could argue it either way. For many of us, it's a very complicated question, and you know, you could argue it either way. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have voted no.
Right.
It's those 15,000 people that pushed me over the edge.
Yeah. And if you look at again, it was 25-15 for the destination resorts. It was 25-15 for the destination resorts, the 3, plus the racinos. The core of 13 to 15 senators who aren't supportive of gaming in general hold a lot of authority right now, power, because we need the number of 27. We need 2 of those to come back over onto the positive side, so that the Senate President could even call people back in to get the 2/3 margin to come back.
Right. So if it doesn't, and it seems unlikely that it would pass this time around, what happens? I mean, what's your best guess? Do you pick it up and try again next year, or you just don't know?
I don't know. I think some version will come back again, but you just don't know because you've got 8 new senators coming in next year, and 25 new representatives.
So it could change.
And you have to figure if the Speaker of the House remains the Speaker of the House, he has a very vested interest in casinos. And racinos even more than casinos. Gambling, expanded gambling.
No, I've heard a lot of people criticizing the Speaker of the House for his position on the racinos. But one thing, you can never forget where you came from. You can't forget your district, or the people you represent. Even though he's the Speaker of the House, he represents his district.
We can get into that. I'll tell you, what I hear from a lot of people is how come the Speaker of the House, elected by people in a district, seems to have more power than the governor of Massachusetts.
Well, that's another.
That could be a whole other show. We'll do a special show on that. But we are going to come back much more with Senator Moore and Senator Chandler in just a moment. We'll talk about the economy and where we're headed right here on the Hank Stolz Experience.